Welcome back, friends, to this episode of the Resilient Rainer podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Burnett. I'm thrilled to have you with us as we dive into an inspiring journey of transformation and resilience in the competitive world of high school rodeo. In this episode of the podcast, we have the pleasure of speaking with an exceptional young athlete from Three Forks, Montana, who has completely transformed her mental game and is now seeing phenomenal results in the saddle and in competition. Our guest has been riding since a young age, competing in pole bending and barrel racing, and she has a wealth of experience from over a decade of rodeoing. Here's what you can expect from today's episode. Olivia shares her turning point, the pivotal moment that made her realize the importance of focusing on her mental game and not just the riding and training. You'll learn the specific methods she used to develop mental toughness and resilience. You'll hear how these mental shifts have enhanced her riding and competition outcomes, leading to remarkable achievements like setting personal bests and qualifying for the National High School Finals Rodeo. Find out how she now handles challenges and setbacks with resilience, and gain valuable tips and insights for improving your own mental game, no matter your level of discipline. Let me tell you, Olivia does not hold back and is so fun to talk with her. And learn how she continues to develop her mental toughness and resilience, ensuring ongoing success in her riding. Whether you are a seasoned competitor or just starting out, this episode is packed with practical advice. Her story is incredibly inspiring, and you're going to get actionable strategies to help you elevate your mental game and achieve your riding goals. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into this incredible conversation. You absolutely won't want to miss a single moment. Welcome to the Resilient Rainer, the premier podcast focused on mental performance for equestrians and improved horse show performance. Whether you're a rookie reiner or a seasoned competitor, this show is for riders who want to take their skills to the next level and achieve their full potential in the show ring. I'm Nicole Burnett, and I'm a master mindset coach who's obsessed with helping you achieve all those horse dreams you always thought were impossible. Join me each week to develop a show-ready mindset and gain the competitive edge you need to compete with confidence. Thank you for coming on, because it's so powerful.
Absolutely.
For folks to hear the stories of both professional riders and everyday riders and their journey and their story and how it was transformative, and just for people to know that that it's possible. And it's really inspiring. So thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. I've never done a podcast before, so this will be fun. And we'll see.
And it's fun. It was fun to see that you're from Montana. We lived in Montana for many years in Bozeman.
Oh, really? That's like really close to where I am. I'm in Three Forks, so.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh, I know right where that is. Yeah. My husband was born and raised in Bozeman, and we both went to school at MSU Bozeman, and it's one of my favorite spots in the whole world. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well, let's start here. Go ahead and just share, in your own words, can you share a little bit about your background and how you got started with horse riding and rodeoing? And
Yeah, for sure. So my grandpa, he raises quarter horses. So it's been in my family for like my whole life. We've always had horses. My dad, when we moved out to Minnesota, so we're originally from Minnesota. We moved out here to Montana when I was pretty young, and we brought our horses with, and we just, for a long time, I started riding as soon as I could. And we just would, kind of do fun stuff, little play days and whatnot. And as we started kind of trying to go faster, get a little more competitive, there was a youth rodeo series that we, just entered in, and that was kind of the start of it. Every year we do that youth series during the summer, and then I came into junior high, and that was like, okay, the next step is junior high rodeo. So that's what we decided to do. I started my 7th grade year, and the first year it wasn't great, and we didn't even spring rodeo. And then we kind of got back to it again, and had a really good fall season. And then my really good horse, he got hurt, and I took a young one, and I went through the whole spring season. I actually had some success, surprisingly. He was very, very like, it was his first year rodeoing. And then we went to state and had probably one of the worst states in the history. Like I came in number one and did not have a qualified run, which is really hard to do actually. But my little horse, he just had never seen anything like that. And it just did not go my way at all. So since then, I've kept working with that horse. I did have another good year on my good old boy, and I've kind of kept going with Gunner. That's his name, my little bay horse, and he's become really good, but it's been a long journey to get there. So, yeah, it's been crazy, but I've been doing it for a while now, and I kind of train colts on the side and train some other outside horses, and I've started my own little fillies, and they're starting to go into the rodeo thing as well. But yeah, just a barrel racer and pole bender, horse obsessed girl from Montana.
Well, and tell me what drew you to, barrels and poles?
So I always liked it. Like, it was just really fun.
Mhm.
But then I had this horse. Like, Skoal is his name. He's 21 now. He's the horse I started with from the very beginning. And he made it the most fun thing ever to run poles. Like, I would have not loved to run poles, except for that horse was just phenomenal. And we never did anything with him. He never went to a professional trainer. He just got it. He really just had it. And that really grew my love of it, because I had such a good connection with him,
Mhm.
that doing that thing that he loved, I loved, and that was just so much fun, was just like, it just grew my love for it. And I continued to like, when can we go to the next one? Is there a jackpot? This like always like bugging my parents. Can we go? Can we go? Can we go? And that just, yeah, I've always loved horses. I've always loved rodeoing since I've done it. And it's just, yeah, the love of the horse and the connection with that particular horse really drew me into the sport. And now I'm definitely hooked for sure.
Yeah. It's really neat. I think that that's something a lot of people can relate to, where generally speaking, you're like horses, fun,
Mm-hmm.
little girl dreams. But then when you have something that you and that horse can really love together and they have a natural talent for, and it just is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love that you say that, because I feel sometimes like horse people, we want to be like, we're serious, like I'm a serious rider. And
Oh
so we
yeah.
think that fun is like maybe not that cool. Whereas like fun is something that is like a superpower, because when it's fun, you want to do more, right? You want
Mm-hmm.
to get out there and do the training. You want to get out there and go compete. You want to do more because it's fun. And so embracing that is so powerful.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
Well, so we are the Resilient Rainer podcast. So tell me a little bit about, did you have a turning point? Was there a moment or an experience that made you realize that you needed to focus on your mental game?
So it was about that time. Like, I was really blessed to have that horse that I did, because for so long it was so good. Like, it was almost perfect. It was just an incredible, like, I was just having so much fun. I didn't even think about it not going well. And then all of a sudden that was done. That horse was hurt. Like, we were not going to the state finals together. That was it. And so I got on Gunner and everything. I'm trying my best. He's young and everything. And we're just going about. And it wasn't really like a huge confidence shaker, because when you're going in on a horse, isn't like he's never done it before. It wasn't like I was nervous to not do well. It was just like I didn't expect anything to come of it anyways. I was just trying to make it through every run and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then it was getting back on Skoal, afterwards, that it's like, okay, now you have the good horse, that it's up to you. He's going to do his job. Are you going to do your job? And that was the year that felt like, oh crap, this is hard. Like, this is really, really like nerve wracking and everything, even though it wasn't any different, like the competition was still the same. My horse was still really good, but it was like, now you got the horse, don't lose this opportunity. And
Yeah.
so that was really tough for me to like figure it out. And that was like, I kind of pick out his hooves before every run. I'd lean over and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to faint, like before going into these runs. Cause like I was putting so much pressure and he totally felt that, it went from, oh, we're just having fun, it's going good and everything to like, everything matters so much. And when you get to that part, you get burnt out. Your horse gets burnt out. It's too much pressure. And so kind of taking a step back, I'm not one for big like turnarounds as far as my mental game. Like I'm still definitely getting better. And it's sometimes, you have setbacks and whatnot. But with kind of as we went through, it kind of became like, okay, you've got to change something. Like I can't keep putting that much pressure because it stopped being fun, for sure. That's just how it goes. And, I didn't stop loving the sport or my horse or anything, but it just got to the dreading, like the run part. So kind of actually, and very recently have I kind of gotten over this more because I started riding. So Skoal was 20 and, he was still doing great. He was wonderful. But I decided that I needed to start working on my next horse because the chances of Skoal making it through my entire high school career were pretty slim. He's 20. So I wanted to work on Gunner and kind of get a head start and start because I thought he would be really good too. I knew he had potential. And kind of on that, I still had the same mindset of everything counts a whole lot. He's got to be good. He's got to get good and everything. And that horse absolutely couldn't handle it. Skoal was really good. He was my rock. Like I could put a lot of pressure on him and he'd do his job. Gunner, not so much. Gunner felt every little emotion really deeply and it really affected him. So it was kind of just like, okay, how do we, and we failed like a lot, like a lot, and not runs just that weren't good, that we weren't in tune, that I was riding poorly, that the horse wasn't working good, like all these different things. And kind of throughout that and like, going through and it's like, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good. It really takes you a few steps back and you got to go, okay, we got to change a lot of different things. Like we got to change my horse's fitness. We got to change my fitness. And then at the end of the day, I'm thinking we got to change something up here, because we keep doing the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. We got to change it up. And I had some really great people come and like help me figure out a couple different things and like, okay, it's not the horse, it's you. We got to figure this out. And I feel like a fair amount of people hear that, but
Yeah.
it was definitely like, okay, we got to change something. And kind of just taking that step back and kind of setting my expectations just a little bit lower for myself and going, okay, let's just see the positives here. Let's just see the positives because I'm a perfectionist. So if there was even a little bit wrong, it was like, oh gosh, like it is no good. Is it ever going to get better? Am I going to do better? But kind of taking a step back, being like, okay, let's draw out the good and let's try to fix the rest in the next run. And just kind of doing that over time, I think kind of snowballed into like, okay, like you can go somewhere with this. You're getting better. You're just seeing the progress a little bit. Mm-hmm. And throughout this season, it wasn't great, but I was able to keep a little bit better mindset and whatnot. Because my parents are always like, the biggest problem with you is you're either up here or you're down here. Like you're never in the middle. It never can just be a good run or a bad run. It's always, on top of the world or way at the bottom.
The best run, the worst run.
The best run, the worst run. And so it was a bit of like, okay, let's try to stay in the middle there a little bit. Mm-hmm. And we kind of we figured it out, like I was, it wasn't great, but it was getting better. And I could see the progress and whatnot. And so it comes down to the very few runs of the spring season. And with Gunner, I had been dealing with some body stuff, like he just wasn't feeling great, some physical stuff, like he wasn't injured by any means, but just like some soreness here, like just not feeling great. It's like, okay, so I was going to take Skoal to my last 4. It's a big run of 4-day rodeo, all in a row. And I had taken Gunner and ran him on barrels the first couple days. And it's like, he's not feeling great. We're going to run Skoal on the next 2 pole runs. Ran Skoal. He's lovely. And actually I hadn't run Skoal in quite a while. My sister had been running him. And I took him through those runs. And it was just kind of like, I go into those runs being like, it's Skoal. I don't have to do much. I just got to do my job, right? It's Skoal. He'll take care of it. And just that like little, like it kind of resonated with me in that moment of like, you just ride your horse. Like, just ride your horse and see what'll happen, instead of thinking of all the other things and this and that, like, just ride your horse. And so we went to the next two, and I was a little worried about running Skoal. The ground wasn't good, and I'm like, I don't want to risk the good, like the old horse and whatnot. Like, Gunner will do it. He'll be fine. We'll take care of him. He'll be okay to run poles. And so we went out and I literally just went into that run. Like, my dad's like, okay, just have a good run, and I'm like, okay, we're just gonna have a good run. We're gonna ride the horse. And he did so well. I mean, really came out of his shell. And I was just kind of like stoked, like, whoa, where did that come from? Because I was just literally like, I threw out all my techniques and all my fanciness and just rode my horse. And he did really, really well. And so we had another run, the next day. And my dad goes, okay, like, just be clean and fast. And I'm like, nope, we're just gonna make a run. We're just gonna make another run.
Take all the pressure off. We're just
I know,
in the moment.
absolutely. So I went out and I ran him again, and he just tried his darn heart out, and he just was incredible. And he ran like a 20-second run, which he hadn't run all year. It was his fastest run of my last rodeo, and that got us a ton of points and set us up really well for the state finals. It was really like, whoa, when you take the pressure out of it, take all the expectations, you take all like the pre-thinking and the, oh, what's going to happen, this, that, it's really cool how it just frees you up. If you frees up your horses, and that was really cool to experience. And it really changed my mindset a ton going into like the state finals and everything, where there is a lot of pressure and everything. And it was cool. It was a really cool, like, little weekend of mindset shifting for sure.
That's amazing. No, you pretty much cracked the code. Okay. Let me tell you, because that's like every time when I'm working with folks, that's what it's about. It's about, oh, you're going to the Derby. Oh, you're doing this thing. Oh, it's the Worlds. Okay. And how do we go into the world? How do we take the pressure off? How do you figure out, like, it's whatever you need to do in your own mind? How do we get you to be 100% in the moment, like riding that horse, what they need, taking off any pressure at all? Because you can't ride if you're busy putting pressure on yourself. You can't ride if you're thinking all these thoughts. You just have to be you and your horse. So I am, yeah, you pretty much cracked the code there. I love that.
Yeah. Well, and it's easy enough to say, I still have times
Oh, yeah.
where I kind of backslide and whatnot, but it was definitely like, okay, we did crack the code a little bit. It was like, whoa, this is like, it brought back those last two runs. I remember my dad just being like, that was fun to watch. And I'm like, that was fun to do. And it hasn't felt like that in a really long time. So, especially with Gunner, because he's really talented, but he's just not that easy to get, like, to the good runs are just kind of hard to put together. So it was really cool and whatnot. And then headed into the state finals, I did make the decision, with the way the points were and everything, to ride Skoal at the state finals, just because I knew he's trusty, he's solid, he's gonna do great. And we'll give Gunner some time off, because we were still dealing with the things, and we ended up doing some stifle injections on him. So we're giving him time off, even though he felt great. He was all ready to go. But I was like, okay, we're going to give you some time off. We'll run the good old boy. And going into every one of those runs, like, I'd never had a state finals that was very fun for me, because it was either Gunner and the young Gunner and the crazy no times, or the next year, just the young horse, and the, like, oh my gosh, the announcer didn't know what to think, because I had come in with top points, and he was like, okay, let's see it go. I think he forgot to read the line that said the good horse was hurt, because he was like, all right, let's see it go. And it was like, oh my gosh, no, no good, no good. And then the next day, when I did have Skoal, I was in such a mental, like, cage that I could not make it. Like, I was just making poor decisions as a rider, and so I kind of screwed us up there. But going into this last state, I just kind of was like, okay, what's the worst that could happen? We've seen it. I've done it. No time, 3 times in a row. And you know what? We're still here. We'll have another shot. If this doesn't go right, we'll figure something out. That's like the worst that can happen. So just go and ride your horse and try to do as good as you can. And and that was just it. And I've never not been nervous before a state run, but those runs, I'm up warming up my horse. Like, I'm more nervous in the bleachers watching the rest of the rodeo But when I was on my horse, I was like, you know what? I'm good. Like, it's going to be fine. I'm going to ride my horse and he's going to do well and it'll be good, or it won't, but we'll still be fine and we'll go make another run. Like, it'll be fine. And it was, he made good runs. We stayed in the standings. We gained a bunch of points. We ended up being second in the average on two really solid runs. And it was like, this is really exciting. Like, golly, this is good. And it's all going good. And come to the short go and everybody, this is like a thing in the Montana pole bending is by the time everybody gets to the short go, it just becomes wicked fast. Like you go, and there's good times and some people are running good, some people aren't, it's been good times and whatnot. But then you get to the short go and everybody just brings their A game. Like it just gets crazy. So I knew we'd have to be fast to place. And Skoal, he'll run a bunch of 20s, but we had been like in the really low 21s, which is solid. That's exactly what I wanted. Just easy going, keep us in the standings, keep us in the points. And we were actually sitting either second or third at that time with all our average points added. So we were sitting in a really good spot. We mathematically didn't have a great shot to win it. The gal that was in the first place had a lot of points. So we were just going, we were like, okay, let's try to make it to nationals. Like, let's just try. And once again, like I was riding my horse and just like the feeling of like, you're going to be fine. Like, this is going to be good. Just ride your horse, just make another run. Like, and not like, I didn't feel like I was going to faint or throw up. And I was like, dang, this is good. And we went out and made a great run. We ended up like a 20.6, which is one of his better runs that year. And like, he did great. And it was just like, wow, like that was good. And it was just so much fun, like so much fun. And like, I haven't felt like that since way back in the day. And so it was a really cool experience for sure. And I'll really treasure that. And that was cool because it's like, that mindset shift, it really does. It makes a huge difference for sure.
Yeah, it really does because like you said, it might be really simple, but it's such a huge deal to have awareness of it and then, to actually apply it. So,
Mm-hmm.
oh, that is just so cool.
No thanks. It's been a wild ride these last month or two. It's been really crazy. It's been so exciting and just like, and it hasn't been all smooth sailing. Like just my last run, Gunner and I went out and we knocked a pole, not what we wanted to do, especially going into nationals. Like we leave in 2 days and that's, not how I wanted my final run to be. But I feel like older me would have been just distraught, like just absolutely done for. Knowing that we had hit a pole and we're going into nationals and all this and whatnot. And I feel like now I can kind of go and be like, okay, so we made some mistakes in that run. But also the ground wasn't great, like it's okay. Your horse still tried really hard and you rode okay. You could have done some things better. Like it's okay. We're going to be fine. We'll go on our next run and we'll be just fine. And that's also good because if you're still carrying thoughts from the last one that were just like, it's going to drag you down. If you still think about the last run and what went wrong and what's going to go wrong in your next run, you can't think like that. You're not going to be present enough to make a good run if you're still thinking about your last one, is kind of what I found. So,
No, you're so spot on that if you're busy thinking about your last run or you're busy thinking about your next run, you don't have the bandwidth to do your current run.
mm-hmm.
Your brain is busy and
Yep.
your brain can only do one thing at a time.
True. Yep. That's true for sure. Yeah.
Well, as you're doing this, this is really cool, like to hear about how this impacted your rides and this transformation going into state and being at the state, high school rodeo finals. When you're doing all of this stuff, did you have any specific strategies or techniques that, you implemented that were helpful? Or would you say it was more really based in those specific mindset shifts and when you really believed them that was what shifted it for you?
Mm-hmm. So there's actually one thing that I was actually kind of hoping you'd ask a question like this because it's something that I want to share. It's not really related to my pole bending runs, but in my barrel racing runs, I had a horse, like I had my sister's horse. Gunner just wasn't running the barrel super great. So I took my sister's horse. He's a very interesting horse. And he's a half brother to Gunner. Like they're very closely related and whatnot. My grandpa bred all of them. And he sometimes does the craziest things. Like he'll run he's a really fast horse. Like he's really cool. But all of a sudden he'll just start bucking on you. Like, and it's like, and we've kind of gone through the whole horse vet works out of it,
Mhm.
ulcers, all the things. And we haven't found it yet. If it is anything, he's kind of got a just an interesting attitude as well. But I had him and he ran a really good first barrel run. Like it was really great. His time held really well in the first round. And so we're like, okay, going into the second round, feeling pretty good. Let's try to make another run. Um, and he went around the first good, but he kind of got far on the, like he took a weird step out. And so it was like trying to ride him really hard to get crossed over to make the second turn.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's what got him upset, because sometimes you almost offend him when you're trying to fix his mistakes. But I don't know if that's what did it or something else. But he went around the second nice enough, and then he went to the third, and around the third he starts bucking on me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And I kind of ride him out of it, and he starts running home, and like he runs a pretty decent time for bucking around the third barrel. But sure enough, we get across the timer, and he sits down and bucks hard, and I'm not really prepared for it. And sure enough, I go over the front and land at the judge's seat at the state finals on live television. Like, okay, that was less than ideal.
Yeah.
And yeah, but after that, I don't blame anybody for this, because of course you're gonna wonder, but all anybody wanted to talk about, are you okay? Did you get hurt? Is your horse okay? Is he like, what's wrong with him? This and that. And it's like, I had a pole run later to make that day. So, but I was sitting in the stands, and although like barrel racing, like I always love poles more than barrels, but it's still like it bugged me. So I was just sitting in the stands watching the rest of the round, and just like in my head all I could do was replay that like run, just on replay, going through the run again and again and again. And I just kind of sat back, like, it just thought to myself there up in the stands, like, you got to stop. You got another run to make. This is like the last thing you need to be thinking about. And so I just kind of did this little, like, I don't know if it's really even a mental trick or just like whatever, but I go through that run one last time, like in really, really, you know, intricate detail. And as I go through that run, I just picture the rest of it just kind of like floating away. Like we're done with it. We're going to put it somewhere else, and we're not even going to think about that or talk about it or anything else until later. And that really worked. Like, surprise, it really worked. I didn't think about that run again. If people ask me about it, answer their questions and be done with it. And that I think was really huge, because then I went out and had a really good pole run, and I just didn't even think about it. But it's like those sort of things, like sometimes you just got to go, this is for another day. Like that, you don't need to, you can get just stuck in a cycle of just replay that mistake, or that problem or this or that. And it's just like, enough is enough, put it away. We're done with it for right now. So that's kind of what helped me there for sure.
Yep. No, that is really powerful. It's amazing that even I run into this sometimes where you'd be like, I don't know, that's not going to work. That sounds a little silly. And then you try it, and you just tell your brain, this is what we're going to think about, brain,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to put this on the shelf, brain, we're going to do this now. And your brain is like, and then it's feels like like you're babysitting a little kid, like, okay, brain, here's, what it's time for this now. And it really works, right? When
Mm-hmm.
you give your brain specific directions about, we're thinking about this now. Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, but I think that is going to help so many people to hear that, because that comes up a lot, that you have multiple runs to make in a day, and when the first one goes well, you're riding that high and it's a lot easier. But when the first one goes poorly, figuring out how do you get it all together when, you have like T minus 60 minutes or 2 hours or whatever, and it's easy to just go off the rails.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure.
Well, so having had this sort of breakthrough moment, like, how do you handle setbacks or difficult days now compared to before, more of this focus on your mental game?
Mm-hmm. So I would say before it was like Like, honestly, I'd be like, if I hit a pole or I'd screw it up really bad, I'd be in a trailer for like 2 hours, just like crying, inconsolable, can't fix it. And then, I'd get better and I'd go out and make another run and it'd be fine. But it was like, you're down in the dumps for like a while. And
Yeah.
that just wasn't really healthy. Like, it wasn't good. It wasn't a good way for your mental health to have those, like, the crazy,
Yeah.
crazy roller coaster ride. So it was like, now I would say with the mental shift of like, okay, just make another run and ride your horse and it's going to be okay. And, if we do make mistakes, we have bad runs and whatnot. There's like, I can look at it now with a little clearer mind and go, okay, what went wrong there? And can I fix it myself? Or was it something just funny that happened? Or was it a big mistake? Like I kind of look through it and be like, okay, what can I change on my end? What can I have my horse do a little bit better? Like, can I fix this? Do we have a lot of time or is it just the next run? If I have time, how can I make my horse stronger, maybe, or me stronger if I ride a little bit better here, or I need to, do this or do that. It's more of like a focus of like, let's be better and let's see where we can do it in a more controlled manner of just like, that was bad. I can't fix it. It's horrible. It's, you know, now I have more of a game plan of like, let's look at it and let's see, can we fix it? And just go on to the next one, like just go on to the next one. And I think that was a lot of what was holding up my bay horse because we had so many, not great runs is I was always like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. You're running bad. I'm riding bad. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And now, like looking at it and being like, let's see what we can fix, and just go to the next run, and not like just drill the same thing over and over and over again when that wasn't gonna help us at all. So now it's just like, just go on to the next thing. It's okay. Fix what you can, and just go make another run. You're okay. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I've found.
Yeah, no, it's really a skill to figure out when, if a run doesn't go the way you want, do you need to trash your whole program or
Right. Right.
just like keep working the program, right? Like there
Mm-hmm.
was a stumble. Okay, we don't have to reevaluate our entire training strategy. Or, we got a little lost around that second barrel. Okay, maybe the ground was just deep, right? Like it doesn't always mean you have to throw everything out. And that I think some people get lost in that space of the run wasn't what I wanted. I have to reevaluate everything instead of,
Right.
okay, what can we do? Let's just keep going on. And the other
Mm-hmm.
thing that I'll really highlight from what you were just saying was you're doing a really great job of both feeling emotion, but then like kind of being able to move on from it, right? Where there's nothing wrong with feeling emotion. And there's absolutely, you have to allow yourself to feel that disappointment or it just kind of eats away at you. But
Mm-hmm.
you don't wallow in it. And how do you kind of very neutrally just review your run, right? Without adding layers of judgment and shame and embarrassment. What went well?
Mm-hmm.
What didn't go well? What would we want to change? And that is absolutely a key in terms of, taking effective concrete action. So it becomes this went well or this didn't well, and breaking that down into an action step of, you know, okay, we're going to keep doing exactly the same thing in our training and make another run. Or, oh, we're dropping their shoulder. We're going to school like keeping our shoulders up through turns, right? Then it becomes an action step and you become empowered and you keep moving forward instead of being like, it was a terrible run. We're trash. That was trash. It was all terrible. And you're stuck. You can't do anything about it.
Yep. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So if you're listening, just re-listen to everything she said because just do that.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, no, I definitely think like look at your run like you'd look at somebody else's run without thinking about it being you on your horse. Like look at it like it's somebody like a stranger, you know? And I think that really opens your mind to like, okay, the mistakes weren't as bad as they think they are just because you made them, you know? It's like, okay, there's little things we can fix here and there, but and that's kind of like I've kind of branched out into becoming more like I haven't done a ton of lessons, but I've helped some of my friends out and whatnot.
Mhm.
And that has also helped a lot. Is like, yeah, look at your run like you look at anybody else's run. See the good, see the bad, see what we can fix. But it's not, it's not the end of the world. It's not like this crazy thing either. Just fix what you can and just, try again. Keep trying.
Okay, well, tell me, how do you incorporate any sort of, I've noticed that you talk a lot about the shift in your self-talk, which is again something I work with my clients a lot on, because self-talk is so crucial. If you are busy being your own worst bully, like, you're going to go nowhere real fast. And so is there anything, how do you incorporate any sort of mindfulness or visualization or positive self-talk into your daily routine? Or, how do you catch yourself if you start using negative self?
Sliding down the slope. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So something from like a really young age, my dad always said like, think it like visualize a good run, visualize what you're gonna do. And for throughout my year of like it being really good on Skoal, which was like 2020, I think the fall of 2020, that was like my really, really like everything is going well, everything's good. It was something that I just did, like I didn't even think about it, but I always visualize a good run. And like to kind of help battle any nerves I had, I would just like picture like myself walking up to the gate and like going. I don't know why that worked for me, but it did. It like helped calm me down. Like, okay, you're gonna be here in like the next 30 seconds. And then, just visualizing a good run. And he was really consistent, so it was easy to, visualize that. And I definitely lost that over the years. Like I lost that kind of with some of that like confidence in my horse. So now I would say more so like it's not so much visualization, because with Gunner still things are always a little different. Like it's not very consistent yet. But I would definitely say, like, thinking about, like, you're capable, your horse is capable. Like, you've got everything you need. It'll either go your way or it won't, but you have everything you need to go out and make a good run. So just go out and ride your horse. Like my dad always said, like, trust your horse. He'll be like, you'll be fine. Just trust your horse. He can do it. And that helps a lot. Just like, okay, you've got what you need. You just go out and try your best. Is kind of that has helped a lot.
No, that's great. It sounds like it's really helpful to you to both have just some affirmations that really ground you, and then to have that, support structure, because that's so key to have somebody in there who can just be that calming voice of like, you're fine. You've got this.
Mm-hmm.
Your horse is great. Like, just ride.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my dad was a big part of that mental shift not that long ago of like he was the one who went like he was told me just ride your horse, just trust your horse, and that stuck with me. Like just trust your horse, because then it went well, it did go well, and it's not always gonna, but if you've got that freeness to you, you can go out and try your hardest because you're not afraid of failing anymore. If you fail, you're gonna learn from it and it'll be fine. But you can't be afraid of failing, because you never go anywhere. You'll never take the risks that you need to. And that was, yeah, my dad has helped me a lot. My whole family has. I have a really big family, but I'm the oldest of 5 siblings. So, but they're all behind me for sure. They're all definitely my biggest supporters, and they I don't know. It's just cool to have a family behind you.
That's really cool. No, I love that. And how fun for your like siblings to be able to, like, you know, see big
Oh
sis
yeah.
doing like doing all the things.
Hmm. Well, and it was also cool too because right after that really good weekend and whatnot, we went to the junior high state finals for my sister,
Mhm.
and I could tell she was really nervous, and she does really really well on Skoal and everything, and you could just tell though she was nervous because she was in a spot to win the state title, and she just all she really had to do was go out and not make clean runs, or make clean runs, not hit anything. And it's funny how when it becomes there's just one goal, how hard that goal seems. Like when it's just one thing that you got to do, it seems like it's the hardest thing ever to do. And so it was nice just to be able to kind of share this like new mentality with her of like, you're gonna be okay. Just go ride your horse. Like if you hit a pull, you hit a pull, and we'll try again next year. But like you're okay. You've got it. Your horse has got it. And it was fun to like to kind of have that mindset and that look on it, even while seeing her ride and everything. It was cool for sure.
That's really cool. And, I know that I feel this all the way too, is that when you teach something, it helps you learn so much and it really cements it for you. And so being able for you to share that with your sister, just helps cement it for you even more.
Absolutely, for sure.
Well, pretend you're talking to your sister. So, what sort of advice? I know you're sort of just saying that, but what advice would you give to other riders who are struggling with anxiety or mental blocks?
hmm So, like, I always just kind of go like, are you prepared? Have you put in the work? Is your horse sound? Like, are you physically okay? And if all those things are yes, even if you're not as prepared, you know, you still have what you need. And you got to trust your horse. You got to trust yourself. But you also have to you just got to let go of those expectations. Just go out there and ride. You're going to be okay. Your horse is going to be okay. And for me at least, I always go kind of like, what's the worst thing that could happen is you don't win, or you don't place, or you hit a pole and you DQ. It's not the end of the world. You still have your good horse. You still got yourself, and you can still try again the next day or in the next run. Just take the pressure off and just kind of just sit back and go like, it isn't the end of the world. Even if it is like the world finals, it's not the end of the world. You'll have another shot, or you'll have something close to it. And I don't know. I like to think of it like there's just a little weight off your shoulders to just go out there, make a run. Trust your horse, trust your training. You've put in the work to get here. You wouldn't be here if you didn't deserve a chance at it. And so that's just kind of what I kind of go with so far. And I'm always learning too and whatnot. So it's it's been a cool little journey and whatnot. And I hope people can kind of, I don't know, see that that when you take that weight off your shoulders, you can really fly.
Yeah. No, and I'm just going to echo you again here where you've just through your journey. And again, that's why I'm so grateful to you for being on and just sharing your story, because I want people to know that this is possible, and it's possible for the everyday rider, that you don't have to be someone who's a professional who rides 20 horses a day for 20 years to get here. And it's so empowering.
hmm
And one of the things that you were just saying that I wholeheartedly believe in is this idea that you have to believe that you are worthy to be there, and that it doesn't matter if you are going in a walk trot class or a national level, rodeo, whatever it is, you have to believe that you are worthy to be there, and that you have to really know that in your heart. And when you believe that, it's so freeing. But if you don't really believe it, you're never going to ride your best. And I think, again, there's kind of this odd interplay with the Western community where we want to be humble. We don't want to, we want to give all the credit to the horse, or I'm not a pro, or there's so many qualifiers. And so it's really interesting. I know when I work with people, I get a lot of like it's not about being cocky, but it's really about when you're so almost degrading of yourself, it feels deeply uncomfortable and cocky to go to try and correct it and go the other way. To be like, I
hmm
deserve to be here.
Yep.
I can do this. I can ride. I can, like I can do this. I am worthy to be in this arena.
Absolutely. Yep.
Was that an uncomfortable shift for you, or did it feel pretty just natural, like as you're going through these different mindset shifts?
Um, I always thought if I could get there, I could compete. There have been times when I've won averages or this or that off of just the good person hit a pole to be really fast, and that's why I got that average or this or that. But you also got to think about it as okay, but your horse handled the ground really well. You handled the rain, you handled this or that. And it's no, you do deserve that. It's not just because somebody else hit a pole. It's not just because, your horse didn't slip or you had a better drag or something. It's you took the opportunities you were given and you made the best of it. And that's always been my thinking on it.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, just don't diminish your own accomplishments. That even if somebody's horse did hit a pole, well, they did hit that pole. I mean, that's what
Exactly.
everybody's trying to not do. I mean, it's
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh,
sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. And so don't diminish your own achievements.
yeah.
Well, it sounds like you've had some awesome self-reflection and support of your family and your dad. Are there any other resources or books, or were there any tools that were really helpful for you along the way as well? Or
So a gal that helped me a lot with Gunner, Marcia Hill is her name. She's a really, really talented pole bender, and she was the one who really told me, like, you've got to change what you're doing, like, all the way through. You got to ride different. Like, this is, a year and a half ago,
Mhm.
and she was the one who's like, you gotta just be. She's great. She has a lot of fun. She's somebody that just deep down, like, just loves this sport. And so she's just like, you gotta have fun with it. It's gotta be fun. She always like asks me, like, and I'm in deep contemplation about all the knowledge I just learned. She's like, so are we having fun? Like, do you love it? And I'm like, yeah, I do. But I got so many things to think about. And, she just was like, open that door to, like, she's really talented. She does really well. And it was just like, oh, you can kind of have that, like, this is just fun. We're out here just having a lot of fun and still be highly successful.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
that's awesome. I think I love that. I think it's really transformational when we have that person who kind of it feels like they give you permission to have fun, and then you're like, when you feel like someone says it and then you give yourself permission, then you just start going because you're like, oh, that's allowed. Okay. Okay. I can
Right,
stop.
right, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's nice to hear it from, like, somebody outside my family too, because you hear it from mom and dad, and they say the same thing over and over again. You're just like, oh yeah, I know, we're having fun. Let's go to the next one. But when you hear it from, like, somebody outside, it kind of, I think sometimes it hits a little bit more.
Sometimes you have to hear it multiple times or from just the right person.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, what are you doing to continue to maintain and improve your mental game? Do you have any other, new techniques that you're exploring or just kind of maintaining everything?
Mhm. Well, it's been great. I've started following more people like you, and just, like, reading things and whatnot, and, like, just kind of, like, doing, like, listening to more podcasts about, other top riders and their mental health as well, and just, like, seeing what you can kind of take from people. I like quotes a lot, so I'm always looking for quotes and whatnot about just different little things, and you never know what'll, like, kind of just sit in your mind just right, and, like, what you'll find. But, just listening to other competitors for sure, and just trying to always, like, see where can I take, you know, what really works for me, and, like, what in kind of just growing on that, and just kinda constantly just be looking around for, like, different little things that make sense.
Mhm. And so as you're doing all this, what do you do to stay motivated, especially when, times when you have progress that seems slow, you've got your young horse who's, going through the training process, or you have your horse injury. What helps you there to stay motivated through that?
Oh boy. I'm definitely a dreamer. Like, I'm always dreaming about, that perfect run or that, perfect ride or whatnot. But I I just I love it so much that that's almost just enough to keep me going. But when things get really tough, I always, like, kind of look back and go, like, where would if you quit, you're gonna lose all this that you've gained. And, like, do you still love it? Yes, I still love it. So it's still worth doing. It's still worth getting up and going and grinding and just, trying to make it through, because eventually your time will come. Your horse will get better, or your riding will get better. You'll learn something that works. And I don't know, that's just kind of like, if you love it, keep going. If you don't, stop. Don't make yourself do it. But if you love it, definitely, like, it's worth it, as long as it's worth it to you, just keep trying.
Yeah. And another way of like phrasing that would be, and again, this is something I work with my clients all the time on, is just getting to your why, because your why, it sounds like, is you want to be a great, have great horsemanship. And do you love it? And you've talked about, the bond with your horse and improving your skill and having fun. And that those things are so much more powerful than, winning any sort of belt buckle or doing ever. It's really like, your why is very relationship centered and heart centered and, process oriented. And when you've got that, like that absolutely gets you up out of bed and you're ready to go.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's way cool. So, what would you say is the most surprising or rewarding aspect of kind of transforming your mental game here?
I would say, like, we've already said this, but like just it being so much fun, and just going out and having such a good time,
Yeah.
that has made me want it even more because it's just a good time. And I don't just it being a lot, like so much less stress. Not, because when you're putting yourself into constant, very stressful situations, whether that stress is coming from your own mind, you start to not want it anymore. You start to like, this is you dread it. And so being more free and like, okay, this is fun, like we're having a good time. It and just like having a very light mindset of like, it's okay. Either way it goes, you'll be fine, and just it's not a big deal. Just go ride your horse and have fun. That has made it like so much more enjoyable and just a better experience overall, for sure.
Yeah. Have you found that this has affected other areas of your life outside of, the horse aspect?
Um, I don't know. I'd say my life is very horse based.
I know there's that
So,
feeling if you look at me like, I don't know, my whole life is horses. I don't know what you
no,
mean.
you're
It just
talking
doesn't
about.
make sense.
I would say, yeah. I react to other situations like where there's a lot of stress or whatnot, and I can kind of react to them better. Like I don't just like freak out and like, I can kind of just like work my way through it in a very like easygoing way. Like, okay, let's, just keep going. It's okay. And yeah, I'm still a perfectionist. I still struggle with sometimes wanting to be perfect all the time. And it's helped a lot in just letting go of that just a little bit and being like, okay, there was a mistake, but there was a lot of good too. And just that has helped a lot, and like other things that I've done.
Yeah, I describe myself as a recovering perfectionist. So I
I
really,
like it.
yeah, yeah. So you can borrow that phrase. You're like, I'm decided, there's a lot of problems with perfectionism. So you don't want to overly identify it, but we're going to kind of honor the impact it's had on my journey and my
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
uh,
Yep.
well, if you could leave our listeners here with, say, like one key takeaway or a kernel of wisdom from your journey, what would it be?
Oh boy. Um, I would say like when you've done all the things and whatnot, when you've done it all, you can look back and see, you can either see all the bad or you can see all the good, you know, and just take the good and, see the bad and work on it. Like, don't plan your whole life around it, but see that, work on it, take the good and go on. Like, see it and keep going. And, yeah, just do it because you love it. And yeah, that's kind of what I'd say.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This has just been one of my favorites. I am just so tickled that you came on. I've enjoyed this so much, and I absolutely know that folks are going to get so much out of your just willingness to share your journey. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's
Yeah.
been a great time for sure.
Now, let me ask you, where can our listeners follow your journey for some more inspiration and cheer you on at the national high school rodeo finals? Or
So my
where?
Instagram is Martell and Martell Rodeo Rush. And then you can find me on Facebook as Olivia Martell.
Okay. And we'll put that in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, yeah, it is fun. And I love that. I think the other thing that I love about rodeo, particularly, I love the sense of empowerment of
hmm It's
riders.
kind of like it doesn't matter where you come from. If you
Yeah.
work hard enough, you can be good at it. You don't even have to spend all that much money. You can just, if
Yeah.
you've got a horse and you've got the will to try, you can absolutely do it. Really good horse. I mean, all my horses, there's not a lick of running blood in them. They're all like cutter and reining type,
Yeah.
old lines and whatnot. And
Yeah.
in fact, the only reason I ended up with my really good horse Skoal is because my great grandpa was the one who bred him, and he was going to go through his last sale. But they do this thing in Minnesota to keep the mosquitoes off, is they light manure like piles on fires, but they just smoke a lot, and it keeps the mosquitoes off, and the horses all gather around,
I, I
and
love
it
the
works.
vision of horses in a bonfire. It's
I
amazing.
know, totally. Except for then the little weanling Skoal decided it felt so good he should roll in it,
Oh,
and
no.
he burned himself up. Yeah.
Oh,
So he has big old scars on him. And
oh,
that's the only reason we got him, is then he was given to my dad because we didn't want to send him through the ring. He didn't look any good.
yeah.
And throughout that, he used to be this like skittish, crazy horse, and then all of a sudden I'm a little kid, coming, gonna ride the horse. He never done any rodeo event before. And we just went through the patterns, just having fun. And he is now like a state champion, junior high state champion. He was the reserve high school champion for me. It's just like he was a discard horse, but it doesn't matter. They if you try and they want to do it and you want to do it, you can do it. Like, you absolutely can succeed.
And I love that. I think that is so empowering with the timed events where it's you and the clock and nothing else
Mm-hmm.
matters. Like, that's it. Like, yeah, like I absolutely see the appeal.
I know. Yeah. There's no judges in it besides the one
Yeah,
saying stick to the rules. But I
that's
see something good in the performance horse
oh
too,
yeah,
of
there's
like
all of it.
it's cool for sure.
Yeah. I love that. I love that just feeling of it's just very empowering. It's like just
Mm-hmm.
do it. It's you and the timer and just is what it is.
Yep.
Feel like a rebel
Absolutely.
in the best.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The bear racing world is full of underdogs for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this. This has been so fun for me, and I hope you enjoyed it too.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, we'll see you later.
Yeah, see ya. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me and Olivia for this episode of the Resilient Rainer podcast. I know that you got so much out of everything she shared about her journey. This episode is absolutely too good to keep to yourself. Make sure you share it with a friend. If you're ready for more, come join us in my free training, Mental Bootcamp for Riders, going on this week. As soon as you hear this episode, you need to run over and sign up at resilientrainer.com/bootcamp so that you can get access and watch the replays over the weekend before they go away at the end of next week. And if you're really ready for more, join me in the Mental Gym for Equestrians. This is my premier coaching opportunity for you to get the missing piece of your training. Develop the mental strength that elite riders rely on to consistently perform. Get yourself in gear inside the mental gym. Get on the wait list at mentalgymforequestrians.com to grab $100 off. I'll see you inside.